Hi everybody, welcome to Jan's Beautiful Gallery here in Summerland, British Columbia. And today I'm going to talk to you about working with Kevin Costner on open range and specifically the shootout. When Kevin and I sat down together in prep, we went over the entire script together and we were zeroing in on the shootout. And there are certain things about the shootout that you don't know. For instance, he carried a 7.5-inch Colt and a 5.5-inch Colt. But the reality about the 7.5-inch Colt is that we cut the barrel down to 6.5-inch and pulled the sight off for a quicker draw, playing into his gunfighter past. Also, Kevin was very concerned because the movie has big rainstorms the night before the shootout. So there would be none of that dust, tumbleweed stuff that you see in traditional Western shootouts. So he's very concerned about the lack of atmosphere that would be around the town because of the wetness of the ground. So he asked me if I could reconfigure the ammo so that when it fired, it would come out with a hit of blue and then the gray smoke would actually hang in the air longer. Now, I don't profess to be a powder expert by any stretch of the imagination, so I did what all prop masters do at that moment. I just go, I'll see what I can do. And so I called Tom Falcon in Vancouver, who then called Joe Swanson in Texas, his ammo maker, blank ammo maker. And they came up with what I affectionately call the open range blank. And when we test fired it, I have to admit, I was so surprised. It did exactly what Kevin wanted. But the interesting thing about that blank is it actually had a thud. A lot of blanks, I don't want to go technical on you, but they have a bit of a shrill to them. This had a thump to the point where David Valdez, the producer of Unforgiven, came up to me and he said, Dean, I've never heard a movie blank sound that good. And he told me when we were doing Jesse James later on that they didn't actually have to remix the sound of those blanks very much because the sound was almost perfect. So that was a real tip of the hat to Tom Falcon and Joe Swanson in Texas, the fact that we could do that. When it came time to stage a shootout, working with Kevin, 2 months before the shootout, we went to the town while it was still being built and we walked every stage of that shootout. I knew every beat that was going to happen. We all did. It was so precise that I remember there was a shot that where Kevin comes down a narrow alley and Jimmy Muro, our cinematographer, who's also our Steadicam operator, was running backwards. And Kevin looked at Jimmy and said, hey Jimmy, how much room do you need off each shoulder to run backwards while I'm coming towards you? And Jimmy kind of did this, give me 1 inch on either side. They looked at the construction coordinator, Alf Art, and said, hey, can you move these buildings a little closer? And Alf said, no problem. So when it came time to shoot the shootout, we shot for 12 days straight. And every morning, Dave Silva, our first AD, and myself, we would have a safety meeting. And we were consistent. I think that's the thing you have to be when you're dealing with Western firearms. All firearms, is consistency is key. Don't change anything midstream. This is how we're going to do it. We're going to do it the same way every day, day after day. And we shot the shootout, we filmed the shootout for 12 straight days. We didn't break in at all. We didn't take a day off. Kevin wanted to just keep the fluid of the show going for the shootout. When we got to the end of the shootout, we had a shot where Sir Michael Gambon and Robert Duvall are shooting revolvers at each other at close range. And we were just at the stage of post-production muzzle flash was still not quite being used in that era of time. So I came up with what were called the non-guns. There was a company in Los Angeles that patented them, and a Vancouver company had the patent for it in Canada. So I had them build a 5.5-inch Colt and a Remington 1875, what we know as non-guns, and they fired a little blasting cap. They weren't the most efficient things to use because you had to take them apart to load them, and it took 10 minutes and you could only put 3 loads in. So I wasn't really a fan of them, but for safety reasons, they did what they were designed to do and keep everybody safe. A lot of people talk that the open range shootout is one of the top Western shootouts of all time. And I was very proud of my crew to be a part of it. But it all stems back to the director, Kevin. Kevin knew everything that he wanted. He communicated it very well. He's really a great director to work with, and he is one of the last classic American cowboy directors left. Clint Eastwood certainly was on that mantle, like John Ford and Howard Hawks and all the people that came before them. But I put Kevin in that category as well, and I wish him the best of luck. And at the end of the shootout, although we do firearms, this little locket that was handmade for Annette Benning to give Kevin, was just as important to me as a 6-shooter and whether the ammo could do what Kevin wanted. Have a great day, everybody. Happy movie watching.